Hey folks, Sylvius here for episode 2 of Talking Trump. Our topic today is, and I'm definitely using the wrong weapon here. Our topic today is maybe being a political outsider, not part of the establishment, wasn't such a good idea after all. Yeah. So, before we get into that too, here I am, Dyrachia, Mino Pyramid. So here's the thing, all right? One of the things that Donald Trump was all about was that he wasn't a political insider. He was an outsider. He was going to bring a new perspective to things. And I was always critical of that for various reasons. Now, I don't want to get into the actual correctness of his policies. I'm just saying that even if Donald Trump's opinions and policies were actually 100% the best possible, I was still pretty critical and hesitant about the idea that you wanted a person that knew nothing about politics to be your political head, essentially. But that was like one of the things that people said. They were like, oh, these politicians haven't solved the problem in all these years. We have to go to somebody else. Yada, yada, yada. Well, what I had said initially was, like let's say you have a medical problem, right? Chronic illness. You keep going to the doctor. You go to specialists. You go to the hospitals. They're treating your symptoms, but they're not curing you. Because the doctors say, look, it's kind of incurable. We do what we can, but your body's too weak. It's not handling the things well. All we can kind of do is treat your symptoms to the best of our ability. But you're not happy with that. You're like, well, I want my problems fixed, so since my doctors and my specialists and my, all these people can't fix it, I'm going to go to a mechanic. That's obviously not how you handle things. Now, I do understand, though, that, continuing this medical analogy, that there are times where the medical profession can't really solve your problems. And a lot of people then turn to, holistic medication and, homeopathic stuff. The thing about those things, though, is the vast majority of people that then ignore what their doctor says and are like, no, I'm not taking the medication you give me, I'm all against big pharma, and I'm going to go with spiritual healing. What happens to those people is they die. We see that a lot with, parents with children who get, easily curable illnesses. And then are like, well, I don't believe in modern medication, and I'm not giving my child antibiotics. We're going to do faith healing and anoint him with oil. And then he dies. And then, we get to hear about it, and then it's an assault on, their religious liberties, because their religious liberties state that they should be able to do mind-bogglingly stupid things that endanger their children. I don't know exactly how I feel about that. I mean, I'm pretty critical of the stupidity of the situation. I don't know about the legality of the situation. But, that's the thing, is that, sometimes the political insiders are actually doing the best they can. It's just not a curable situation. Regardless, though, I don't think going to a mechanic is the correct choice. And so with Donald Trump, that was the whole thing. We need to get an outsider in there. He's going to drain the swamp. That was one of the phrases. Drain the swamp. We heard that a lot. Now, whether or not he did that isn't the purpose of this video. But what I want to point out here is that we're now a week into the Donald Trump presidency. And whether or not you agree with the things he's done, the travel ban, for instance, the various executive orders, his plans to focus on the wall, his attempts to get rid of Obamacare, whether or not you agree with all those things, most people, I think, would admit that the way they went forward on focusing on these initiatives was lacking. And that's the problem. See, a veteran political operative would have known how to handle these situations. And Trump and his friends, or his cabinet, I should say, aren't politicians so much. They're largely businessmen and yada, yada, yada. But that's the problem that quickly became apparent, is that they don't know how to play the politics game. A smooth veteran political operative would have navigated through this like a expert driver with a a luxury sports car gliding down a smooth freeway, around hugging those bends perfectly. The Trump administration has handled these situations as if they were a drunk blind person in a bumper car just careening off of obstacles as they smashed through oncoming traffic. Which again isn't to say anything about the actual policies or anything along those lines. I mean, everybody has opinions on whether or not his policies were correct, and that's just how life is going to be. But I think we can all safely say that this wasn't handled well. In just so many different ways, it was not handled well. And that's kind of the problem we're seeing here now. So things that, I mean, let's be honest here. Liberals, Democrats, you guys got to admit here too, the Republicans stomped us in the election. They've been stomping us in the midterm elections since 2010, essentially, when the Tea Party came to power. They got us beat in the House, they got us beat in the Senate, and they had a majority in the Supreme Court up until one of them died. The Republicans in the Senate managed to prevent Obama from taking control of the Supreme Court, and we've consistently lost in those two places. And now they have an even stronger hold on that, and they control most of the governorships in the United States also, and now they also control the executive branch. So they've got us beat. But they're botching it. He's with everything in his power to just do whatever it is he wants. He's botching it because he cannot make the smart moves that a political operative who was not an outsider, who was an insider, would have known how to make. His administration is floundering about, confused, trying to learn their way. Now, Trump said all of his people have massive IQs and are the smartest whatever in history or some nonsense like that. I don't even want to go into that. But even if his people were all legitimately Einstein, Stephen Hawking's, Isaac Newton level geniuses, they still need time to, acclimate themselves to this new, political situation that they find themselves in. I'm going to go back to the medical thing and use this as my example here, but besides, specialists in medicine, there's doctors that train specifically to treat children, because children are different from adults. I'm getting a little bit face kicked here. Children require different types and amounts of medication. You also have to communicate with children differently. Like, you can ask an adult, like, well, where does it hurt? And the adult can be like, oh, I think it's kind of around my kidney. You can't ask a child that. So, you might have a very competent doctor, but he can't treat children because, children are an entirely different thing. We're seeing that kind of same situation with the Donald Trump administration, where they might be competent people, they might be geniuses, but they don't know how to operate as elected officials and government. And we're just kind of blundering into one pointless controversy after another. Things that, again, should have been and could have been easily avoided, we're just smashing into them like we're blind. So, this latest, the travel ban, again, a lot of people are going to be like, the travel ban is great, it's the greatest thing ever, we should have banned more countries and stuff like that. But the implementation of it was a disaster. To again make another kind of medical analogy, I think most people have probably experienced the wonders of having a splinter. I absolutely hate having splinters, by the way. I just throwing this out there. I hate splinters. Splinters. But most people have probably had a splinter at some point in their life. And you need to get them out. And sometimes the best way to get it out is to just yank it out. Pull it. That crap hurts, though. But, you might intellectually understand that what needs to be done is you need to pull it out, but there's a way to go about doing it And, I don't think Donald Trump is really doing it in the correct way. If the person's gonna be like, alright, so I'm gonna, like, gently stick these tweezers in here, I'm gonna grab the splinter and I'm gonna pull it out. You're gonna grin and bear it. But if the person's like, yo, I'm gonna stab you in the arm with tweezers, and you're gonna whine like a little whiny bitch, and I'm gonna rip them out of your arm, that's not the correct way to do it. So it's gonna just cause needless stress. Look, I don't want the Donald Trump presidency to fall apart. I mean, alright, I kind of do. But I want the Donald Trump presidency to be functionally acceptable to me. And that way I don't have to wish for it to fall apart. I want it to be something that I'm not appalled by seeing, and then I want to be able to support it. That's what I want out of the Donald Trump presidency. So far, it's not really accomplishing that, but that's still what I want. I want Donald Trump to go with things that I can go, well, while I personally don't agree with that, I can work with it. While I personally don't think that we should do A, B, and C, I understand that my party, in my opinion, lost the election, and I have no real say in the matter. That's kind of life. So, I can deal with that. I can. But he's making it hard for me. He's really making it hard for me. So, I don't necessarily want this whole thing to be an epic level disaster where our country takes years to recover from it or something like that. But that's where I feel like it's going, and it's not being helped by the fact that the people are blundering through into these problems. And that's definitely what's happening. It's been like one stupid controversy after another. Just easily avoidable things that we just are like careening into, and I'm baffled at how it keeps happening. But again, this is why a veteran political operative wouldn't have had these problems. Like, these problems, love her or hate her, wouldn't have been happening to Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was a politician through and through. She knew what she was doing. She would have handled the protests better. She wouldn't have signed insane executive orders that weren't... you know what I'm saying? Like, she would have slipped those things under the radar so that it didn't upset people as much. Okay, so maybe she's like the Antichrist or whatever, and she would have been the worst thing for the United States. But she would have done it slickly. We know she would have done this because she's been in politics for so long. We actually had an idea of what she was capable of. In fact, going back to 2008, one of the things that Republicans kind of criticized Obama for was his youth and his lack of experience in the political field. They were like, he's a one-term senator. What does he know about politics? He can't run the country. He's going to flounder about like an idiot and not do anything right. Well, that's exactly where we're at with Donald Trump right now. He needs to get an advisor on board who isn't like one of his goons and who isn't, something other than a politician. He needs to get like an ancient politician. John McCain, for instance. Heck, Mitt Romney. He needs to get somebody that can be like, look, Mr. Trump, that's the kind of thing that while you want to do it, you don't want to loudly proclaim the fact that you're doing it. It's a political reality. We're going to have to cut Social Security. It's going to have to happen. Let's not tweet about it, Don't tweet about that. Just do it. Just do it and hope nobody notices. Downplay it. Don't argue with it. I mean, like, the whole thing with the crowd sizes. Dude, who cares? I mean, like, look, even if you have factual information, somehow you used high-resolution drone cameras to determine the exact number of people that were in the inauguration, okay? And you know that your inauguration numbers were higher than President Obama's. You look petty if you bring that up. You look petty and you look childish if you keep bringing that up and arguing about it. Constantly arguing about it and bringing it up just made him look like a fool. And then having Kellyanne Conway go out there and call them alternative facts. What does that even mean? Look, 2 plus 2 is 4. It's always 4. It's gonna be 4 in the future. It's been 4 in the past. It's not changing. It's just how math works. There's no alternative 2 plus 2 equals 7. That's not how that works. I think she had to have been high to say that, because nobody who knew what they were talking about would have ever said that. I don't even mean to, call her out for being stupid or something like that, but I mean to say, if she had actually listened to the words she just spoke, she would have been like, oh my god, that was the stupidest thing I think I've ever said in my life. And then we get his press secretary dude going out there, and he tried to make some kind of, it's like a weatherman. One weatherman says it's cloudy, the other one says it's sunny. Well, see, again, those aren't facts. Those are forecasts. They're predictions of what it will be tomorrow. You're predicting the weather, which changes on a day-by-day basis. So yes, 2 weathermen can provide different forecasts, because again, this is what a forecast is. 2 weathermen aren't going to argue about whether or not it was cloudy or sunny yesterday, because that's a fact. This is the situation we're dealing with here. That was one of those situations, though, where a veteran political operative would have gone, I said stupid crap. I shouldn't have said that. So when he's asked about it, what he should have said was, look, I'm really sorry, I misspoke. It was my first day on the job. I was very stressed out. We were very excited about how things were going to be going, though. And then the news media came in here and just was, nitpicking and looking for a problem. I got upset and I said something I shouldn't have. It was me misspeaking. It doesn't reflect the actual policies or the thoughts of the president. It was my fault and I screwed up. That's all he had to say. That's what a veteran political person would have said. Kellyanne Conway wouldn't have gone on the TV channels to defend what he was saying and then said some nonsense about alternative facts. Because a veteran political person wouldn't have said that. They're not right now, America consists of 3 groups. People who hate Trump, people who love Trump, and people who aren't really sure. Their alternative facts may have made the We Love Trump group happy, but it didn't make the other 2 groups happy. The other 2 groups were like, ooh, alright, well, we don't like Trump people were like, see, this is why they're crazy. The people that were, I don't know yet, were like, ooh, that looks a little questionable. What? Did she literally just say that? He needs to get a veteran political analyst on his team. And he needs to listen to that person above all other people. If every other person on his cabinet goes, Mr. Trump, you should go out there and scream about your love of bananas. And the political analyst guy says, no, you shouldn't do that. He should do what that guy says. Ignore what everybody else says and get the political analyst. And he should ask the political analyst his opinion on everything first before he does it. No 3 a.m. tweets without running them by the political analyst. In fact, he should get 3 political analysts, okay? Get 3 of them and have them each work 8-hour shifts every day. He should always have a political analyst standing right next to him. The guy should be locked in his closet. The political analyst should be locked in his closet. So that when Donald Trump wakes up at 3 in the morning, gets up out of bed, grabs his phone, and is like, I'm going to go send a tweet about something, that guy should be like, no, don't do that. Let me read it first. Okay, no, this is a bad tweet. Don't send this tweet. Don't send this one. Because, like I said, again, I don't really want him to fail because the consequences for our country are too massive for an epic failure that could potentially come out of this. I don't want to see that happen. So, I'm not gonna like watch him like walk into a pitfall and giggle while he's doing it, because he's driving the ship called our country. So if he smashes into the island, I'm on that boat. I don't want to be part of the sinking boat that he crashed. So I want him to be as successful as he can be, to an extent. And that's why, like, this is so appalling to me, is because he's just floundering at points where he doesn't need to be floundering. Like, Donald Trump supporters, you guys have to agree with me at this. This, like, nonsense about, the crowd size is stupid. It should have never been an issue. Who cares if the media is lying or faking? It's irrelevant. Now we get this poorly thought out travel ban from these Muslim countries, which is its own separate topic and all that stuff. But we get this poorly conceived and thought out travel ban from these Muslim countries that's causing all these problems, and it's just a huge embarrassment for the country. It's not working correctly. 4 judges so far. It's 3:40 a.m. on Sunday morning. Monday morning. 4 judges so far have issued injunctions against it, blocking it. It's like a catastrophe. Did nobody sit down and be like, hold on, before we do this, how's it gonna work? When you're hunting in Tibia, right? You figure out where you're going. You're gonna go, all right, I'm hunting in place ABC. I'm hunting, behemoths and cyclopses, okay? You figure out what the monsters are there. You figure out what elements they're weak to. You figure out how you're gonna hunt there. What you need. How do you get there? You do all this stuff, and then you try to estimate how much money you're going to earn, how much EXP you're going to earn, and all these various things. You plan before you do it, and this is for a video game. This isn't like international policy or something along those lines. This is a video game. And there is clearly no real thought put into that executive order. Otherwise, it wouldn't have included people that have green cards, which it did. It wouldn't have been a huge embarrassment to the rest of the world. It would have been phased in slowly or something like that. Not just an abrupt, bam! It doesn't matter if you're married to an American and you've been living here for the past 20 years. You went home to see your sister get married or something like that, and now you can't come back into the country because we didn't plan this out well. Alright, that's all I'm saying for this one. He desperately needs a senior, veteran political analyst to keep him from, making missteps. Because he's making missteps, and they're bad missteps, and they're wrecking his presidency at this point. Alright, folks, that's it for me. That's episode 2 of Talking Trump. As always, flame ahead in the comments, like, favorite, comment, subscribe, check me out on Patreon, Twitter, and Facebook, and I'm done for the night. I can't stop it. There we go.